Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts 3 playthrough. So, we have gained the ability to use, I believe, a second tiny ship, or that might be the first tiny ship, I can't even bloody remember at this point. But obviously, we beat Monstropolis in the last part, and as you know, has occurred with every single part so far, well, every single world so far, we are going to go right back into the delight that is Monstropolis, because we have got quite a few chests that I need to pick up. And also quite a few lucky emblems, including ones that I was so close to but didn't quite spot. So we've got a bit to be getting on with. I mean, you know, at least I did find a few lucky emblems in our hunt, but it was not looking positive, let's put it that way, for a little while. And after that, it's not too horrendously bad in terms of chests picking up. Only 7 to go. Annoyingly, from what I remember, they are all quite spread out. But you know what? I can live with that. So, we are going to hop right back in the lobby and offices, and we're just going to sort of, you know, wind our way through Monstropolis. Obviously, this means we get the delight of Mike and Sully back in our team. Boo has gone through the door, so, you know, she's not about anymore, but then to be fair, she didn't really do a whole lot previously other than laugh. So, I think we'll be alright. Also, hashtag funny face special. Obviously, I would pull a funny face special right now, just like cheese, but you wouldn't be able to see it, so it would not be effective in the slightest. But actually, this works out quite well, because I don't know why, you know, I couldn't, you know, press continue there. It's just like, what was going on? Maybe I just sort of, you know, looked away, and then all of a sudden it finished, and it was just like, oh, oops, it sorted itself out. But yes, we have some enemies that we can beat up over here, the turtle toads. As you can see, I still don't like these guys, they're not great. But it is nice that there is a fight here, and also the Happy Gear is a really fun Keyblade. It switches up into some claws after you use it for a little bit, and I can't remember whether it has an extra level. Oh no, it does have an extra level after the agile claws. And I'd say that it's a pretty unique Keyblade in the grand scheme of things, because yes, it has a yo-yo mode, because of course it does, and honestly I am totally down with there being a yo-yo mode, because why the hell would you not want a yo-yo mode? Like, seriously. It's ridiculous and awesome, and I love it. Also, that Scream Strike did absolutely sweet sod all. But hey, it's alright. But yes, what I was aiming to say, and not necessarily succeeding at saying, is that it's very opportune, actually, that I'm covering this particular world in this particular part. Because this very day that I am recording this, later than I really should be, because, you know, normally I upload Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I'm recording this on Tuesday to go for the Wednesday, so, oops. But it's been good, because it means that I actually get to talk about a little bit of news that came out this very day, which is that Monsters Inc. is getting a TV series for Disney Plus in 2020, and it's going to be called Monsters at Work, and take place like 6 months after the events of the original Monsters Inc. So obviously it'll take place after, you know, this event has occurred in the world of Monsters Inc. Because obviously, much like Kingdom Hearts is canon to Toy Story, I'm pretty sure that it is also canon to the delight that is Monsters Inc. Although I don't think that Sully and Mike are going to be mentioning Sora anytime soon. But what's really awesome is that actually Billy Crystal and John Goodman are going to reprise their roles as Mike and Sully once again. So it's kind of a shame that, they couldn't get them in for Kingdom Hearts 3. But, you know what, I suppose we will all live with that, because it's not a TV series on Disney's brand new streaming service that they're sort of wanting to sell everybody on, that I'm still not necessarily quite there on yet. Like, they've announced some some shows that they're sort of going with, but I don't think that they've necessarily sold me on it yet. Particularly because they've well, my brain's just sort of gone a little bit what, because in terms of what Wikipedia says as upcoming original film programming is they've got Lady and the Tramp in post-production, which I'm just like, I'm sorry, you're doing what now? So yes, they're remaking Lady and the Tramp for Disney Plus. Something called Magic Camp, something called Noelle, something called Stargirl, something called Timmy Failure, and something called Togo, and then in development, more interestingly, they've got Don Quixote, which intriguing. Also seems like a remake of Honey, I Shrunk the Kid, terrible idea. A remake of The Parent Trap, also terrible idea. Seemingly a live-action Peter Pan and a live-action Sword in the Stone. Interesting. They've also got Sister Act 3 on here, which could either go incredibly well or incredibly badly. In terms of TV shows, I think the only ones that have really got any major things in terms of what have officially been ordered, you've got High School Musical, the musical, which I'm sure is going to be absolutely terrible, but if it turns out to be good, then I am going to be quite happy, purely because I will always have a soft spot in my heart for High School Musical. I loved it as a child. It's cheesy and sort of in that space of so ridiculously cheesy, but I do still kind of love it. Then you've got Monsters at Work, which obviously I've just told you about, which is coming back to Monstropolis, which is delightful. But then you've also got The Mandalorian, Season 7 of Star Wars The Clone Wars, an untitled Rogue One prequel series. They've all been officially ordered. And then in terms of things that are in development, but not necessarily named yet, you've got a TV series for Loki, Muppets Live Another Day, The Vision and Scarlet Witch, an untitled Falcon and Winter Soldier limited series, and an untitled Mighty Ducks series, an untitled animated What If series, which is a Marvel thing. So they've got a few kind of interesting bits of original programming in there as part of this Disney Plus service. But right now, I mean, apparently it's releasing this year, but they've not really announced anything regarding pricing or anything of that ilk. So it's interesting. We'll see how it turns out. Because, I mean, cost is going to be a major factor, and also what else they put on there. Because, like, I would quite happily pay maybe about, well, basically what I pay for Netflix, which is about sort of £8 to a tenner a month, as long as it had sort of a lot of content. So, I mean, like, ideally, we're talking every single classic Disney film. I would also say, please, for the love of God, get some of those sort of classic Disney TV shows in there. Like, I would actually love to be able to just watch through some of those old school TV series that I watched as a kid, like watch through the entirety of Kim Possible, watch the entirety of Phineas and Ferb, also like That's a Raven, probably a bit of Hannah Montana as well, why not? Throw it all in the mix. Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Just like, look back at those things and I'm just like, oh, my childhood. And sort of a way of reliving that in sort of reasonable quality in an easy place would be really quite nice and delightful and helpful. So I'd be willing for that, plus exciting new content along the way. But the sort of following problem with that is that I'm not just going to go there for sort of original programming unless it really, 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 really tickles my fancy and I'm really interested. Because you've got to think that there are more and more and more subscription services that they are trying to get people to subscribe to, and everyone only has sort of limited funds, so you've got to make it a worthwhile proposition, and that was a really terrible run at the banana plan, but it's okay. We will come back to the banana plan at a later date and do it justice. But yeah, as I was saying, it's just sort of one of those things where you need to make it worth it. It's sort of why Nintendo's online system has sort of not really taken off as well as they'd perhaps hoped it would, because what they're offering is not actually all that impressive and not necessarily worth the money at the minute. Like, the whole Nintendo Entertainment System thing is just sort of very disappointing. It's just like, you could just, you know, do the whole backwards catalogue thing. Obviously, where feasible. Sometimes it's not going to be feasible, but where it is feasible, I think that, why not? But I suppose in that sense, I have always been very much on the side of making things easy for the customer. And very much on the side of trying to make sure that people can enjoy things in as easy a fashion as possible. And obviously that is not necessarily the smartest of business moves. Like, sometimes the whole streaming service thing opens you up to all sorts of piracy issues, because you're putting a whole bunch of content online, and doing that then potentially means that you won't sell like DVDs and Blu-rays, but then we're all moving towards subscription-based services anyway, and all the competition, and yada 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 yada.
But I am thinking about beefing up security.
So it's difficult, but I would like to sort of hope that it's going to be at least reasonable, and that in general everyone does their best to improve their online services, no matter what form they're taking, whether it be video game companies or people trying to get into the online TV streaming service. I'll take whatever, as long as it's sort of showing us all that there is reason to do these things. I mean, ideally, you know, you just show all the streaming services in one box for free and everyone would be having a whale of a time, but that's not feasible, it never will be feasible, and honestly that's going sort of a little bit too pie in the sky thinking type dealio. Because you could use the same argument to try and get like all video games in one particular place. It's never going to happen, and actually doing that then means that you don't have the competition, because people are just sort of going to that one place. There's no sort of reason for them to improve. You end up with Stranglehold. It's basically YouTube, and then you can sort of, companies can do whatever the hell they like, even if it sort of is really, really not good for customers. And it's all a bit sucky. But hey, that has given me a nice stretch of a discussion topic there. I suppose I should sort of wind it back just to Monsters at Work. So they have got sort of quite a few other really quite famous voice actors in there. I mean, they've gotten Jennifer Tilly back as Celia. You also got John Ratzenberger back as well, it says Yeti and a new character Bernard, but I believe by Yeti they mean the Abominable Snowman. But there we go. There's also going to be Bob Peterson voicing Rose, the twin sister of Roz. So we'll be getting to hear the dulcet tones of "I'm watching you, Wazowski, always watching," again and again and again, which is going to be absolutely delightful. So fingers crossed that is going to be good. In the meantime, we are about halfway through now, so we're making decent progress. But I will say now that we're not going to see a completely brand new world for a little bit of time. If you're watching this as the parts go live, you're gonna have to wait till next week for that, guys. Sorry, but there is going to be a little bit of fun stuff occurring, so it's all good. Now also, I think that actually going back through Monstropolis, I think it does highlight to me that I kind of find Monstropolis to be one of the least visually interesting worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3. I think that is unfortunately by way of the fact of what it is. I mean, you can't really get away from the fact that it's a factory, and that's the film. That's Monsters Inc. But I think that, I mean, maybe they could have done something to make it a little bit more interesting by throwing in a little bit more of the going through the doors. Like, obviously they were not gonna go to the mountain where the Abominable Snowman / Yeti is, because, you know, we've got Frozen coming up, so they wouldn't do the mountain. But there's a whole bunch of sort of other places that you get to see in Monsters Inc. when they're going through all the different doors. And also, to be fair, they could have taken some elements from Monsters University if they really wanted to. I.e., you know, like you had the cabin in the woods, but then I suppose that might have ended up making it a little bit too much like Tangled. It's difficult, but I do wish that they had sort of put in a few slightly more interesting vistas, I suppose. Because looking at grey walls does get a little bit dull after a while. And it's not Monsters Inc.'s fault that this is the way it is. It just sort of is. But obviously it's the job of developers to really go hard in trying to make these sorts of areas unique and exciting to play through. And yeah, I would say sort of the replaying through Monstropolis just isn't that exciting. I think part of that is down to the music. Like, I think it's a really good song, and I think the battle theme's quite sort of fun and upbeat, but I don't think that this particular theme really inspires me all that much to play. Like, I just feel a little bit depressed when I'm listening to this. It's not sort of... It's not got the joy of, say, You Got a Friend in Me in Toy Box, or even the field music in Kingdom of Corona, and it certainly doesn't have the joy that you get in most of the field music in Annandale, which we are going to be going to soon, just not now. So I'd say that it's probably one of the weakest world themes in the game, although I suppose you have the argument that sorry, I just had a complete blank there. I suppose you could say that the Caribbean probably has the most disappointing in the sense of it doesn't use the song that it really should use and did use previously for that world, but I think it was entirely a money related issue. But obviously we'll talk about the Caribbean when we get to the Caribbean, because currently it's shrouded in mystery, and really I should not be saying the Caribbean, but hey, there was lots of pre-release material for this film, and this film? Oh god. For this game. And so, if you didn't know that some of these worlds were in here, then, like, seriously, you were living under a rock. And really not making much progress on figuring stuff out. That said, I'm sure on various other things I too have been living under a rock, so we're all guilty of it. It just depends how you then sort of tackle that and move on forward. I move on forward by just sort of blathering my way through video game parts. And I'm gonna have to do this for the rest of this week's videos, pretty much. Because, well, I mean, I suppose we have got a slightly more exciting thing occurring in the next part. Not as exciting as I would like, and ultimately my least favourite world in the game, but we will obviously discuss that when we discuss it. In the meantime, we're still on a non-moving conveyor belt, tackling the, I'm going to say, marine sambas. Well, I could be entirely wrong. I'm trying to sort of do slightly better at remembering enemy names. Oh, Marine Rumba. God damn it. I was close. Not really. I was slightly close. It's because it's the Vermilion Samba and the Marine Rumba. Yeah, I don't know whether I've spoken about sort of the Heartless introduced into this game yet or not. But hey, I'm going to do it anyway. I think it's because, from what I remember, during the my 3 for over 2 days commentary, I pointed out that it actually had the largest number of Heartless introduced in the entire franchise of sort of console games. Obviously, when you've got Key and Union Cross, they together, well, Kingdom Hearts Key completely outstrips any of the Kingdom Hearts games in terms of bringing in new Heartless, and especially when you bring in Union Cross as well. But Kingdom Hearts 3 is pretty much in line with Kingdom Hearts 2's number of Heartless, really. So, I mean, let's just count it out here. So there's a grand total of 32 Heartless introduced in Kingdom Hearts 3. Although I will say that I do feel like it's probably got one of the lowest levels of variety in those enemies, because some of those, so you've got Vermilion Samba, Marine Rumba, Gold Beat, and Malachite Bolero, which are all the sort of like Red Nocturne, the flying magic enemies, so that's them. You've got two new variants, well, a variant on the soldiers, and a variant on the large bodies, so they're not particularly new. You've got multiple Popcats, so that sort of wipes out quite a bit of variety. You've got two Trolls, two sort of Satyr Minotaur type things, and yeah, I mean, I feel like I might have talked about this during Tweebox actually, because speaking about it now sort of does remind me of that conversation, but it's worth mentioning once again, because of obviously, as the whole thing with the Unversed, is that there's really not any variety in the Unversed, because all you have is the Floods, the flower poison snake things, the Turtle Toad and the Spiked Turtle Toad, and that's it. Which it's very disappointing actually. But hey, not much we can do about that one now. But it is still worth sort of just going over. Also, this was a terrible place to launch the Magic Carousel. It's probably going to sort of, you know, well, it's not really doing much at all. I suppose it has killed the enemies, but that was just one of those of just like, I can't see, and it won't let me push the button because it won't spin properly because it's stuck in the blooming walls. Just had to, you know, make it more difficult for myself. I mean, obviously.
Find some ingredients around here.
Yes, Goofy, I'm sure we will in someone's used, disgusting Chinese takeaway box. Like, yeah, really gonna want to eat food from there. I mean, what's quite nice is, if I recall correctly, you can pretty much, once you've picked up an ingredient, generally you can then buy it from the Moogle shop. It is not the case for all of them. There's one ingredient in particular that I'm pretty sure you cannot get, or at least I don't think you can get from the Moogle shop. And it can only be picked up in Arendelle, and it's actually really, really difficult to spot. It's basically the only ingredient that I don't think I ever found by myself. Like, throughout the game I get basically every ingredient necessary, but I don't think I ever got that one. Which is kind of insane! And part of me thinks that maybe they should have done a slightly better job of making that particular one more But I suppose they've got to add in a bit of challenge somewhere, but then the challenge is also in the fantastic plans, because they provide the hardest challenges in order to get ingredients. So it's a mixture of things, really. Depends what you want. Although I'd say that what I want is that I'm quite excited that I have actually bought Devil May Cry 5 now, so I'm hoping that I have an absolutely delightful time with that and get some proper hack and slash action going on. Because I've not really had a proper hack and slash game for a few years now. Like, I think the last one that I played that's like a proper hack and slasher was... oh god. Was when I played, well, when I recorded Bayonetta on the Switch, which was March 2018. So it's been over a year since I played a proper hack and slasher, and it's actually sort of even longer than that since I played a new hack and slasher, and that wasn't even a sort of new game, because that was Beautiful Joe in September of 2017. So I'd have to go back to then sort of Nier Automata in March 2017, but even then that's not a sort of, that's a hack and slash RPG.
Let's see.
Which ultimately means that really the last brand new proper hack and slasher that I played was Bayonetta 2 in 2015. Oh my god. So, yeah, might need to have a bit of fun with that one. Oh, actually, no, tell a lie. It was Transformers Devastation, but that was also in 2015. That was November 2015. So, yeah, should probably try and get myself back into that genre, because it is a genre that I have always, well, not necessarily always enjoyed, but it is a genre that I enjoy. And it'll be nice to sort of finally get to experience one of the sort of leading lights in that genre, the genre that the game series that basically inspired the genre. One day I am determined that I will try and play through, like the original Devil May Cry, and also Devil May Cry 3, and at that point I might as well just try and play through Devil May Cry 2 and 4 if they're available to me at the time. I'm determined I will try to do that eventually, but I have kind of got a bit of a backlog of games to go through. It's a lot well, I say it's a lot smaller than it was. It's smaller, it has shrunk a little bit, but I do still have quite a few long RPGs to play on that. Including, you know, the Final Mix versions of Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts 2. So, even though I've got Kingdom Hearts 3 here, and I have actually, prior to this well, not prior to this particular session, but prior to recording today, a couple of days ago, I have actually officially 100% completed Kingdom Hearts 3, which makes me so incredibly happy and proud that I have managed to achieve that, because I've obviously had quite a few sort of Kingdom Hearts games over the years, and I suppose while technically I did slightly mostly 100% complete the original Kingdom Hearts, I'm pretty sure I missed a treasure chest or so in that run. And also, you know, I never got Sora up to level 99. So, there are a few things that I and also I don't think that I actually... Well, I don't know whether I completed Ghibli's Journal or not. Difficult to tell. But that's something that I would have to... I'll look at, but sort of the fact that Kingdom Hearts 3 I've 100% completed it makes me very, very proud. And very happy. But I think that with this last little bit of murder, we are basically at the end of our time in Monstropolis. I don't know whether there's just one last little thing to pick up or not. We'll see shortly. But I think that in that sort of surprisingly efficient run through, we picked up everything that we were missing. All of the lucky emblems, all of the treasure chests. So I will definitely take that if that was the case, and I think it is. Oh, I missed that treasure chest. How did I miss that treasure chest? Like, seriously, what is wrong with me? And hey, we'll synthesize that while we're at it, why the hell not? I would say it is worth synthesizing things, I mean, especially if you want that synthesis trophy, because that can take a while if you don't do it as you go along. Oh boy. Anyway, definitely seems like I've done everything that I wanted to do here. So that is Monstropolis over and done with for the time being. So let us head on out, and I believe that we need to return to a previous world to see something a little bit new.